Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce our moderator for the evening. David Gonzalez is our moderator, and David holds the position of second vice chair for the Republican Party. Also tonight we have several elected officials with us tonight. First of all, we do have, I'm just kind of glancing, but I didn't forget anybody. We do have Magistrate Judge Jean Galassini in the back. County Commissioner Susan Flores, sitting over here in the corner. County Commissioner Ronnie Raridan. Municipal Judge, Tularosa Municipal Judge Tim Flores, right over here. Assessor Donald Yee, over there. County Clerk Robin Holmes. And Probate Judge Chris Tansky. Please give them all a hand. They are your elected officials. And we do thank you all for coming. Also, I'd like to thank Alamogordo Live and the Alamogordo Daily News for showing up tonight and covering this. It's a very important event. I am hoping that more people get involved in the process of voting and educating themselves on who are the best qualified candidates to run your county. This group of candidates they're wonderful people, they're good Republicans, they're good people, and sadly we can only choose one out of each one to run. I've said this a million times, there are no losers in this election, only winners. They may not win the election per se, but certainly they do win the adoration and the love and the respect of many voters in Otero County, the citizens, because they are putting themselves out here for you to critique, to look at, to talk to, and it's a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. These people spend a lot of their time, money, away from their families to do for you. So please, first of all, please give all the candidates that are here tonight a round of applause. If you did not pick up one of these, if you didn't, Chris will walk down the aisle and give you one. This is a voting ballot. David will explain to you a little bit more what we're going to do, but please, if you didn't get one, raise your hand so that Chris can give you one. There's also a little white card. If you want to ask a question, we're going to ask you to write that question down, and we will ask the candidates, you know, we don't want to do to you what I do. The minute I get a microphone, I start talking. So I just don't want that to happen to you. So we'll take the written questions in written form, and we will ask the candidates on your behalf. So with no further ado, then, I am going to go ahead and pass this podium on to David.
All right, thank you, Rob. All right, so I'm the guy that gets to explain the rules to everybody, and I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a kind of an important day, so it's a good chance to really get to know all the candidates and know what they're about. So the way the rules are going to go, I kind of explained them a little bit earlier to most of the candidates, although I lied to you guys, so I'll have to change some stuff on you, but that's okay, you guys can adapt. The way we're going to do it is we're going to go in a format of course, questions and answers. First, let me start with the ballot here. The salmon, or what we call rocky orange ballot here. Whichever color you want to call it. Each person is going to vote for the candidate. You're going to choose a candidate you will have voted for prior to walking in here. Then choose candidate after hearing them all. Results will be shared with the candidates. Comments are welcome at the bottom of the form. Comments will be shared with each candidate as it pertains to them. So it's a really good feedback mechanism for all the candidates and for us at the Republican Party also. So please help us fill this out. All right. Rocky also mentioned a white index card in the back. We're going to take a 10-minute break coming up here. And during that 10-minute break, you're going to be able to write down questions for the candidates. Try not to make the questions too complex, because I have to read them, and that's going to go really bad if they're really crazy. The time will dictate the possibility that not all the questions will be asked, and we do apologize for that. There will be time to visit with the candidates after the form is over. Questions must be placed in the basket at the sign-in table before intermission ends. All right, so anybody have any questions about how that's going to work? Okay, you do. All right, so the way this is going to go is we're going to introduce the candidates, and they're going to have a 1-minute intro. Now, the way we're going to choose who goes first is we're going to flip a coin, because I lost my deck of cards somehow. So we're going to go alphabetical order. That'll pick the heads or tails, okay? Now, the first series is going to be questions from the Republican Party board. We all got together and picked a couple questions that we thought were good to ask the candidates, and so those will be the first set. You're going to have a minute and a half to answer the question. You'll have 30 seconds to do a rebuttal if needed. We're going to take a 10-minute break to gather all the attendees' questions, and then we're going to kind of rinse, repeat, and do that same format again. At the end, you're going to have 2 minutes of closing. Okay? So are there any questions about that from any of the candidates, or everybody get on that?
When are you going to start?
We're going to start here in about 2 seconds. And now, with all that said, now we're going to start. So, Denise, you have I'm sorry, Mr. Crouch, you have the name, so we'll call it in there. Or when I catch it.
Heads.
And it is tails. So you will get to do the introduction first, and then you will answer the first question. Okay? All right, so with that said, I'd like to introduce our the people running for county clerk. We have Denise Guerra and Jean Crouch. And Denise, you will be first.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, I am Denise Guerra, and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. I started 28 years ago in the County Clerk's office. That was in 1984. I started as a Deputy Clerk. I worked myself up to a elections coordinator, and now the Chief Deputy Clerk. I presently am the Vice President of the County Clerk's affiliate. The 33 county clerks chose me into this position because they recognize my abilities and the leadership qualities. I am a Christian, and I know that I can run this county clerk's office in the next 4 years. And I want you to know also that all of you are very important to me. I will go into that office and I will do a good job, and I am proud to go into that office and to run that office for you. And as always, we're there for the people, and I will continue that. Customer-friendly service. And with that said, she's telling me to stop. I want to be your next county clerk.
Good evening. My name is Jean Crouch, candidate for county clerk. The main idea of my platform is that I will run the clerk's office with courtesy, competence, and common sense, with the interests of the people of the county as my #1 priority. Thank you.
Alright, so I don't know if you guys noticed, there's cards over here that tell you when you have the time running out. Sorry, I didn't mention that before. A little trap I put up there. Alright, so we're going to move into the questions that the board has come up with here. Again, you're going to have 1.5 minutes to answer the question. Mr. Crouch will be going first, and then Denise, you'll have a 30-second rebuttal if you want. Alright, so the first question is, what are the responsibilities and duties of the county clerk? What qualifies you to carry out those responsibilities?
The county clerk is responsible for the recording of all the official business of the residents of the county with the government. If you buy a piece of property, you have to record a deed. It's the prime recorder of the information of the county. The county clerk is also responsible for administering the elections. And I'm particularly interested in open, verifiable, and honest elections, and make sure that we'll have the honest elections in the county. I'm qualified. I've dealt with probably half of the county clerks in the state of New Mexico, done business from them from the customer side. I owned a business for 20 years. It was a typesetting and graphic arts business. That kind of a business depends on quality and service to the customer, but they're not going to come back. I'm used to dealing with people. I can get along with them. I know how to listen to them and help them, and I'll do a good job. Do an excellent job. Thank you.
Mr. Crouch is correct. We do record documents in our office. When I first started back in 1984, we would mail, or the clerk's office would mail back documents in 6 weeks. Now the customer comes in, we record the document, we scan the document, and we hand that document right back to that customer. The county clerk's office also oversees the conduct of all elections conducted within the county and assisting with the city elections. I have conducted 30 successful elections. I have been a big part of why Otero County's results get to the Secretary of State's office so quickly and efficiently. And I am committed to following all the laws, it be the election laws or the recording and filing laws. Whether I agree with them or not, I will follow them.
And you have a chance to do any type of rebuttal if you need to. Okay, so we'll go to the second question. This will be for Ms. Guerra first. If you had the ability to change one law that would directly affect the duties or operations of the county clerk or its office, what would it be and why?
Okay, as I said earlier, I am the vice president of our clerk's affiliate, and when I get elected, if I go in there and I see that there is any laws that need to be changed, I will be a big part of that. And for right now, I don't see anything that should be changed that we haven't already changed.
Well, I don't know how many of y'all are aware that in August of 2011, the state passed a law raising the recording and filing fee for deeds in the state by over 275%. That's a law that I would like to see changed, and also I would like to be able to allow the clerk's office staff to assist people in research for a fee. Thank you.
Yes, 30 seconds.
Mr. Crouch is correct on this law that passed throughout the state, but as I said earlier, if I agree or disagree with any law, I will follow it. And the only reason that this law was passed was to make the clerks weren't charging the same filing fee. So we wanted to make it uniform throughout the state, and that is why this law got passed. And going back to my staff, the staff is very honest in there. They help the customers. There's not a customer that comes into that office that doesn't leave without their answer to their question.
No.
All right, the next question would be, and this is going to be from Mr. Crouch. What drives you? Name for us one reason that inspired you to run for office.
Well, I'm running for the county clerk's office because I'm familiar with the overall operation in theory and concept of how county clerks work. I've seen good ones and I've seen bad ones. Otero County is one of the best in New Mexico. I'm running for the job because I believe I can do a good job at it. I'll be open to the public. My number one priority will be service to the citizens of Otero County in a courteous and competent and common sense way. Thank you.
I also will be dedicated and committed to this office as I am now. And my first priority is the public. My focus will be putting Otero County citizens in the first and emphasizing on customer-friendly service. And I will ensure the county clerk's office follows that ethic service day in and day out.
All right, Ms. Gary, the last question here. You guys kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but we'll go ahead and ask it again here. What is the role of the county clerk in an election? Yes.
The role of the county clerk to run elections is to make sure that everything is transparent to all the voters, that there's nothing hidden in the process of a voter going to the polling places, voting. Everything is, like I said, transparent there. And I have, like I said, ran 30 successful elections and getting the results to the Secretary of State's office.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
My question is, what are the verification steps that the county clerk currently exercises to ensure that you're getting an accurate vote from a certain precinct? How do you check that, and how do you verify that you're getting accurate results?
There's a checks and balance on everything that we do on election day. We have an audit trail that comes out of those machines when a person comes in to vote and they're checked into that computer and they're issued the ballot. They make their selection, they put it into the tabulator, and there's a public counter number that's on that tabulator. The tabulator, public counter number, the permit cards, and the report that we get from the computers will all match.
Is there a paper record?
Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. I should have let it go up, and I appreciate you didn't hesitate, you took that question. What we'll do, Mr. Crouch, is during the 10-minute break, those questions will be submitted at that time. Okay, so I apologize, I should have let that go there. But very good job answering the question. But go ahead.
My turn?
Yeah, you have your minute to do the question.
Well, I would institute a method of having paper ballots, that if there's any question or any dispute in a vote, that we can sit and count the votes. Being the first one to send our votes in isn't necessarily the most important attribute of running a good election. It's having fair and honest and verifiable elections that can be sat down and count the votes. That's how I do it.
I'll give you a 30-second rebuttal on that because it's a little bit out of format.
As I said, Mr. Crouch, there is an audit trail, and we do already do paper ballots. If there was ever a recount, those paper ballots would be pulled and ran through the machine. We have a memory card that comes out of those tabulators that is read by a computer, and the results come out of those memory cards.
Okay, so these are your candidates for the county clerk. I'd like to give them a hand right now. And again, those questions will be good for the intermission time, so we'll get those, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the county treasurer. I'd like to thank you guys. Okay, gentlemen, how do you call it?
Tails.
It is tails. So you will get your introduction first. Okay, so as far as our county treasurer goes, we'll go ahead and introduce Tim McGinn.
Good evening. My name is Tim McGinn, and I'm your conservative Republican choice for Otero County Treasurer. I decided about more than a year ago to run for this office because I'm driven by a desire to serve my county and to serve my community. I put forward a simple plan over the last 2 or 3 months, a plan of improvements and savings that will make the office more customer friendly and a better treasurer's office. My plan includes increased open hours, increased communication publicly with the county commissioners, as well as elimination of expensive and unnecessary out-of-state travel. My time is up. Thank you.
And now Kathy Prather.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Prather, and I am running for your position of Otero County Treasurer. I would like you to know a little bit about me. I've worked in the Treasurer's Office for 21 years. I have about as much experience as anyone in the state in working in and managing that office. I worked under Elise Beckman from 1991 until she left office in 2002, and at that time I took over her office for the duration of her term until 2004, and then I have served as the Chief Deputy also under our current treasurer, Mrs. Grace Gonzalez. And so I have a lot of experience, and I want you to have the benefit of what I've learned and the experience that I've had here in the county. Thank you.
All right, so we'll move into the questions now. Kathy, this question will be for you first. Both of you claim to have investment experience. Can you tell us what that experience is? How would you go about making the decision on what to invest our money in?
I assume the experience you're referring to is investment experience. I have, for the last 21 years, invested Otero County funds. We have a portfolio of upwards anywhere from $14 million to $20 million. It's very important how that gets invested. It's been a long process learning what to do with money besides just putting it in local banks, because we went through a time economically in our county where banks, it wasn't advantageous for them to take our money, and some banks it still isn't. So we have a process that's set by law and by the Constitution and by our investment policy that is adopted here at the local level by our county commissioners acting as the Board of Finance. And we follow that policy, but there is still a lot to learn and a lot to know when you're investing county funds. And I now teach that to county college participants who are wanting to learn how to do their job better in the county treasurer's office. And so I have a lot to offer them. The way I would go about that is we've worked very diligently with our investment committee in putting together an investment policy that works well and has been very effective. We've been able to avoid the pitfalls that other county treasurers have fallen into. Stop now.
My investment experience is in the private sector. It's in being a county commissioner for 8 years here at Otero County. In the private sector, in the last 20 years, I've run a business that now employs 17 people in this county and is a multi-million-dollar business. And I'm very proud of that. And of course, with that, you make a lot of decisions daily about what you're going to do with your private dollars. Stop now already?
Well, no,
No, it's not a rebuttal.
Yeah, that was a rebuttal.
So, anyway, that's fine.
Keep going, we're going.
In private business, multi-million-dollar business, you're making a lot of decisions. This is a recession that we're in, possibly a depression, and I've only managed to make our business better, okay, and grow our business and add employees in the last 5 years. At Otero County, as county commissioner, with Mike Nicholson and Ronnie Reardon, we made hundreds of decisions about what monies would be spent out of the county budget. We did it, and we stayed in the black. And in those 8 years, we didn't raise the sales or gross receipts taxes at all to accomplish our goals in office and whatever spending we were going to do. We were conservative, and that's how I intend to be in the treasurer's office. Thank you.
We gave Tim a little bit more time because of the curveball he got thrown there, so. Okay, this next one will be for Mr. Begin. If you had the opportunity to make changes in the county treasurer's office, what would they be and why?
One and a half minutes. Number one, I would start by increasing open hours of the operation. Currently, the clerk and the assessor's office, they close at 6 o'clock. And that works for a lot of people who work, who want to come in and use those offices. Treasurer's office closes at 4:30, and it's early. And it's long before a lot of people who work can come in and use the office. I would also be open for 3 hours on Saturday. This is an increase of about 10 hours a week, something that is very doable. The office has the elected official, the chief deputy, and 2 employees, okay? It's a 4-person office. After managing people for years and doing customer service for years, this is a simple thing to accomplish. The other thing is, I think it's unnecessary to travel out of state and be a lobbyist. It's not something that I, as the county treasurer, would do, and I would eliminate that. And that'll save some money in the office. But keeping the office open to the public is very important. Safeguarding and keeping the money safely invested, that of course is the top priority. Thank you.
We got a minute and a half, and then if you want to use 30 seconds for rebuttal, I think that we can do that too.
Okay. All right, the things I would change in our office, I do have some things I would change. I love our office, and I think we have been adapting for many, many years on all the things that we need to change as those changes present themselves and need to be done. That's something that's always been important to me. I'm not one of those people that says that we've always done it that way. I've been one of those people that have always said, what can we do to make it better? And I always think that should be our attitude toward anything we do in our offices. Right now, we are in the process of a couple of huge changes that I think are going to be beneficial to everyone. And I embrace the thought of being able to adopt we're going to have a new computer system, and I'm excited about that. Another thing we're doing is the county commission has now made it available to each and every office and department in the county to do their own website. So we'll be able to present some things on our own website that will be under our control for the first time, so that we can put some things on there that will be helpful and advantageous to all of you guys that are interested in being more informed about what's going on in the office. So I'm really excited about those things. Those are a couple of the things we will be changing, and probably before we even change to a new treasurer. But just to let you know, I'm very interested in anything that we can do that will advance how we serve the public. That's very important to me, and it's very important to everyone else that's out there. So that's my number one priority when it comes to what changes we would make in our office. So just, can I now do a rebuttal, or did I just
Tim,
use it at the
you
time?
have 30 seconds to do rebuttal on anything that she said. Would you like to? Okay, and now you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Okay. As Tim stated, we are an office with 4 people, and I know that not having had experience in our office, you can't be expected to know this, but in the 1990s, one of our county treasurers, one of their platforms was to extend the hours of the office. And indeed, as soon as she got in office, she did extend the hours of the office, and it was a complete fiasco. And the reason for that is that with an office, at the time we had 5 people in the office, as a matter of fact. But we found that we needed the concentrated concentration of workers during the time that people generally expect hours to be open. Can I just finish that thought?
Sorry.
Okay.
They can give the packet. Okay. So the next question is going to be for you. So you have a minute and a half, so maybe you can finish that thought. What do you see as the biggest issue facing the county treasurers right now?
I think the biggest issue right now is the economy. We have a very precarious situation out there in the economy. I think what everyone needs right now is a treasurer that can hit the ground running, that already knows how to run the office, that already knows what the economy is doing to our investments, and already knows the dangers and the pitfalls that are out there, and that can go out there and get to work immediately. I also think that our computer system is a very important transition that's going on in our office, and to have someone that knows what's going on with that and knows how to approach the changes that are going to occur will be very advantageous to all the people that are in our county. Those are just two things that I think are very important and big issues. This election is not about politics, and it's not about personality, and it's not about all those things that we generally like to think of when we come to choose a candidate. But right now, this election is about the economy, and we have got to have someone that knows what they're doing already, not that plans to start in the office and learn what needs to be done, but someone who already knows what's to be done in that office. And so that's the most important thing, I think, in there. And just to quickly finish that thought that I started a while ago about the office, with 4 people in the office, you cannot have, we have right now people that are constantly there. We all answer the phone, we all wait on customers. There's a constant need all the time. We still have to have people going to lunch, going to their doctor's visits, taking vacation from time to time, and there is not enough people for 4 people to spread that out for 10 more hours a week. Just so you know.
As James Carville said, it's the economy stinks. And that is the issue at hand. It's pervasive, it affects all of us, and it'll affect the county board of commissioners, the treasurer, the clerk, eventually everyone's budget. And certainly the county treasurer has to be cautious, and more so year after year with the investments. That's the answer to that. Another thing I'd like to point out, though, since I have some time, is, by the way, this office has not had another candidate run for it in 16 years, except for one person who runs for it out of the office. I'm the first person to run in a challenged race in 16 years. And so now you have a choice, and you have a choice of somebody who's not a career employee. And I hope you'll make that choice with me. Thank you.
Yeah, 30 seconds off of that.
Thank you for that. I think the reason that you see in some of the managerial offices in the county, you know, we have 2 different kinds of elected officials. One are elected officials that actually have to manage an office, and then there's those that are policy-making individuals that work on a board to make policy for the county. That's 2 different kinds of situations going on. I think it's important to realize that the reason that people from within the office do stand up and run for office sometimes is because they know the office, they know the job. And the reason that people continually vote for them is because they are aware of that.
You have 30 seconds.
Just the last part of what Ms. Prather said. The reason why people continually vote for them is because there's only one person on the ballot, and we would assume it would get 100% of the vote. So I think in elections it's good that there's a lot of people who run for office. I give speeches last year about this to groups, that more people should run for office and become involved in your community. And of course, this for me is an easy one because of all my experience. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our questions for the County Treasurer's Office. We'd like to thank Tim again and Kathy. Thank you guys very much. Okay, next up, we're going to have our county commissioners. We had a little bit of an issue with Mike Jones. He was unable to attend. He wasn't feeling well this evening, so he sent his apologies to everybody, so we hope that he gets better. So the people that are left, we have Mike Nivison and we have Ronnie Barden. And we're going to have a coin flip here. And Mike, you're actually going to call this one. And it is heads. So Ronnie, you'll have 1 minute to do your introduction.
See, I'm already winning. My name is Ronnie Reardon, and I've had the privilege of being your county commissioner for going on at the end of my term this time will be 12 years. I've been able to serve the people who elected me, I think, from Pinon, New Mexico, all the way to Chaparral, and yesterday I was up in Bent, New Mexico, working. Susan had to be out of town. I was up there covering for her. I know the area very well. I know the budget very well. I know the issues very well, and I try my best to always see what the people need and make sure that the people are heard. And so I just let you know that I'm putting my hat back in the ring for another 4 years. This will be the final 4 years, and I will term out, and that will be a total of 16 years if I am elected again, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you for coming out tonight.
And you have 1 minute introduction.
Can I rebut?
No, you cannot go ahead.
First, I'd just like to thank all the people running for office. It's not an easy job being a public servant. I've been a public servant for 30 years in Otero County, and I was a captain on the fire department prior to that. It's all about passion. It's all about passion. I think every one of us that run for office have a passion for this. I believe I have served as a mayor, I've served as a county commissioner, public land use planner. I've been to 30 legislative sessions, been to Washington, and have 2 significant forest health bills passed on a federal level, as well as 5 other states, because we can't do this alone. We're in a time where we have a bad economy, yes, but we have also a government at the people instead of for the people, and we need to get that turned around. I also believe that a lot of the things. Stop now.
We gotta really hold it up there.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Okay, so we're going to move into the questions now, and Mike, you'll be the first one to answer this question. Why are you running, and what makes you stand out from your opponent?
In the introduction, I think I answered some of those things. One is just the passion. Actually, with my fire service, I've given over 40 years to this. I have taken it as a full-time job to serve the people and to listen to the people, and if I can't fix what's wrong, to also let them know that the law or this stops me from doing that. So they get a legitimate answer. Also, my experience, again, I really believe that a lot of the issues that are falling on us are coming from outside. Biggest one to mind is water. The federal government is trying to take our state's sovereign water, and they're doing it through regulations. And the last governor actually put up 30 rivers for outstanding national resource rivers. Now they come under water quality, which makes them subject to federal court. We have got to pay attention, even though we're a county, on issues that are affecting the state. Forest Service right now has applied for over 1,000 water rights in Arizona and several here. And that's all I have to say because she got signed.
You got Rick, right? The reason I want to run again for the commission, it was a deep thought that I had to really search myself and go, do I want to give 4 more years on the first of the 4 years that I've given? Because I've done an 8-year term, then I set out 8 years, and then I decided, why would I run again? And the answer to that was pretty easy. I had called down to the county manager's office, and they told me that the new county manager you're not allowed to speak to him. And I said, what do you mean I'm not allowed to speak to him? They said, come in and fill out a form, and if he will delegate that to the right department, and they will speak to you. And I said, okay. So I said, I'll make a few other calls. I called a couple of people, and Ray Baxter actually called me back. I said, what's going on down there? And he goes, oh, things have changed. The new manager won't let you in. You can't talk to him, blah, blah, blah. Make a long story short, I decided to get back in it because I believe this is a government for the people, by the people. And when it's at my own front door, that really hurt. And I know how hard I worked for 8 years to make sure when that phone rings, it rings 3 times, or someone's going to be in trouble when you call down there, and a human being will pick it up and answer. Now, why am I above my opponents? Let me tell you something, folks. I don't have an opponent this time because I don't consider Mike an opponent. I don't consider the other Mike an opponent. They're running for the same office, and they have to convince you that they can do the job, and I have to convince you that I can do the job. The opponents that I was going to run against didn't sign up, so we haven't come June. This election is over, so you'll need to pick the best person you believe in can run the job, and I hope that's me. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Newsom, you have a 30-second time for rebuttal if you'd like. No? Okay. So we'll move on to the next question. No, you cannot rebut yourself. I'm going to add that rule just for you. Okay, Ronnie, you're going to have the next question here. There has been a lot of discussion on the 3 versus 5 commission seats. Are you for or against 5 commission districts? And then tell us why.
Actually, if you check your papers, I voted against the 5 district commission, and there's a variety of reasons. First of all, the county has 6,600 square miles. It's huge. Only 88% of that is managed under a federal managementship. So we have about 12% under private ownership that we really have to manage. And that private ownership, when you get outside of Alamogordo, really shrinks down to very few people in the county who live out there who have to have a representation. Now, if we were to go ahead and go to 5 county, because I was for it when I originally got in back in the 90s, I wanted to go to 5. I thought, oh, we're getting taken here, we need more representation. But after I got in the office, I realized I can handle my district. I don't have a problem with that. I've never had anyone go, hey, well, you didn't come up and see me. The only people I don't go see is the people who don't call me. And then they get mad and they make up things like, hey, you don't come up and represent us. I guarantee you, if you call me, I will show up, I will return your call, unless some weird way I miss it. So no, I am against the 5-man commission. Personally, it could be a 1 and 2. And here's the other reason. Add $200,000 to our budget to have 5 people to travel, the cars, the staff it takes to require to watch it, the way it comes. We've got 5, we will go 5 commissions when we go over 100,000 population, and we're not there yet. And so until we hit that level, I don't see any reason to go with 5%.
I think the last 2 things that Ronnie expressed, one, the budget, and also the population. We're not there yet. If you also look around the state at 5 county commissioners, it's not working in most of those counties. You get too many cat fights, you don't get anything accomplished. It's been a problem, and I as well did not vote for it when I was in the commission office. I do believe, yes, we are big space-wise, but we're not population-wise. And I do think that 3 commissioners can serve, and they can serve well. The way you do that is you disperse the duties and stick with the policies for the commission, and let the other people run the solid waste facility and the other things, and give them the authority to do that. That's what you have to do. So, I appreciate you.
Yeah, have the opportunity for a vote now, if you'd like. Okay. All right, so this next question will be for you, Mike. Which programs, if any, that currently exist should be cut back in whole or in part?
You're talking about county programs, I hope. I think that the county has come along pretty good. I know the things that we wanted to do when I was on the commission is make sure that all the communities got served. Chaparral, Villa Rosa. I do believe there's been a little bit of cutback in the ability for the supervisors in some areas to have the authority to do things. I think that needs to be dispersed more. And then the commissioners can really concentrate on the policy issues and the issues that are really affecting us again from outside. They're huge. The federal government is encroaching on our rights, and what they're supposed to be doing is giving us the most possible freedom that they can.
I have to tell you, when I got into office, there was tiers and tiers of management level. We went in and we cut those middle managements out. We had $100,000, $80,000, $60,000, and all the workers at 30 and lower thousand. And we took and did away with the programs of the middle management and let the managers who were supervisors be the supervisors. I think we have more of an open supervisorship going on right now in our county than I've ever seen in the years I've been privileged to be there. And under Pam Heltner's management right now, she's just turned out to be a wonderful manager with great department heads, and things are really rolling good. And I was glad to hear Mike say that we split up because Susan, who's my co-partner over here, she takes care of certain issues. I take care of certain issues, and Tommy Harrell takes care of other issues. And we respectfully respect each other in that, and we work great together. Now, the department I would cut, and this is one of my pet peeves, and you're probably going to hear this in the newspaper, Dwayne, I hope, in the next few weeks. I do not like the way that the public is treated when they go into the courthouse through the metal detectors. And if I get my way this time, I'm going to stop funding those metal detectors because the other day I went in there and I was treated like I was from a third world country, and they didn't know who I was. And when they took my wallet and stuff away from me, I said, "You have no idea whose constitutional rights you just stepped on." And I believe the Constitution is our law, and I believe when any government takes that, I'm going to fight for it. Thank you.
Are you, do you want a 30-second rebuttal?
No.
Okay. You guys are going to have to really settle down. I don't want to keep breaking you guys up like that. Okay. Okay, this next one will be for Ronnie. This is a long one, so if you guys need me to repeat it in between, just let me know. But this is a good question. This is pretty important. Okay, recently Utah passed the Transfer of Public Lands Act, virtually giving all public land back to the state of Utah. What do you think of this type of legislation? Would you support similar legislation in New Mexico?
That's not a long one. I live that every day. I'm speaking to the Association of Utah this month on the 18th. I'll be out there speaking to 72 county commissioners, teaching them how Otero County is taking back our lands. they invited me out, and they're paying me to come out and speak to them on this very issue. And I applaud their legislators, I applaud our legislator here, Yvette Harold and the rest of them, who are going to try to follow suit, but we have a little harder fight in New Mexico because the Democrat-Republican swing is not quite as strong as it is out in Utah, but I totally support what they're doing. I advise the Utah Council of Government out there that under the Organic Act of 1897, Utah was exempt from the forest reserves. They didn't even know that. And they're just starting with this great legislation that they passed. I totally support it. Under the equal footing doctrine that came out of the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, this state, when it became a state, stood on equal footings, and it should be able to stand on its equal footings, and we fight for that every day. And folks, I've given my life to you for the last 3 years. I travel extensively and work on that issue because I think it's the most important issue of us. And Mike's hit on it a couple times tonight. Me and Mike go way back, and we worked together a lot of these issues back in the old days. We can't let the federal government come in and govern where they don't belong. The government belongs to you, the people. Amen. Look, I stopped.
You got another one. 3 to get a ticket. In concept, when we passed Senate Bill 1 during my term, yes, this is what we're talking about. I've studied this for over 20 years. We've got some problems. There's Clippy versus New Mexico, which was wrongly decided in my opinion, but until it's overturned, we've got a problem with taking the land back. The footnotes in that, even talking about Utah, say that Utah equal footing doctrine, when they wanted to come in, they didn't want to comply with it. But bottom line was that the United States owned that prior to, through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. So you've got to overcome things. Can we stand a lawsuit like the water lawsuit over in Doña Ana that cost $500,000? Can we lose $1 million in PILT and BLM and Forest Service $1 million? We're a military town, let's face it. And we just have to, the way that I was able to move the Forest Service is through political means. Legally, you can't fight and you can't win. Hague's been at it for 20 years and have not won.
That's where we're gonna part a little bit different. Clippy versus U.S. It actually is on burros and horses, which is a case they use every time to go against us. His Senate Bill 1 that was passed in 2001, right after I got out of office, it did get passed, and it was a great bill. The lawsuit you heard about us, it's going to be Otero County versus the U.S., and we are going to fight that. They set $750,000 aside to fight that because it's so important we win that. And when we win that, we set the new precedents who owns the land. And so you own it. I'm going to fight for it.
Would you like another 30 seconds?
30 seconds?
Yes, sir.
How do we spend $15 million on a forest fire like they did over in Arizona? You can't do it. How do you fix the forest at $1 million on 1,000 acres when it's a 1 million acre forest? We don't have that kind of money. We never will. We will have to get the federal government to do it. We have a system. Let's make the system work because it is not working now. So it hurt a lot of feelings in the fire departments because of this.
Okay, Mike, this next question will be for you first. There is an enormous problem with stray and neglected dogs in Otero County. How do you plan we address this? Are you opposed to building a county facility and allowing inmates to take care of the animals?
You know, in the governmental process, there's a thing you have to find out what the need and purpose of every action you're doing. And secondly, you have to look at the alternatives. The question is kind of hard to answer because it's based on a single decision. I know we looked at it when I was on the commission. I think I lean towards having a county run operation. It would depend on how the budget looked and how the finances looked. I recently went to Animal Village and adopted a dog who is the light of my life. She is just wonderful. And we do have those support things. I know all of the private ones are struggling. Okay, at that point, with people in mind, and the animals in mind, these facilities, an alternative might be to somehow support them. I think until the alternatives are described and the budget is worked out on those alternatives, it's going to be a hard decision, but I would support the county being involved, yes.
Our job as a county commission, our sole purpose for existing is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of you. That's what you put us up here and pay us all those big dollars. I totally support relooking and becoming self-efficient in our own system. Now, Susan has taken that role over. I'm not involved as much as I should be because that's her job and she keeps me informed. We were out looking at some facilities just today that may be available. The problem is, no, it's not a problem. The fact is, people love their animals. The people who vote us in office, vote us out of office before they vote their animals out. I can promise you that. And they're rightly so. I think animals should be treated fair and decent, humane. So I see it as our job to step in. We can't just take them out and shoot them like they used to do in the old days. We need to treat them. And Susan's working diligently on finding rescue homes for them, not euthanizing them, getting them out of these for-profit places, because we work at the county on a zero-profit basis. You know, we hire veterinarians and people like that. They're great people, but they have to make a profit to pay their bills. We have to do a service, and we bring in the taxes, so we have a better stand on it. So I totally support it, and looking forward to what Susan comes up with.
Would you like 30 seconds to recap her vote?
No, I just say, I really like my dog.
Well, that concludes our Republican Party board questions there. That was handled very gracefully, guys. I mean, that's how it should be done. So once again, Mike Nivison and Bonnie Barber, thank you guys. Do you support identification when voting? If not, why?
Well, I definitely support it. We have to give identification for everything in the world. And to say that you don't identify yourself to vote opens the door to all kind of fraud and duplicate voting, and I'm all for it, and I would promote it if I was for it.
I also support voter ID. I know it didn't pass in this last legislation, but our Secretary of State is fighting for voter ID. Our governor is, and I will definitely continue to fight for it.
Gary, you'll be first on this one. How would the repeal of the driver's license law for illegals assist you in getting non-citizens off the voter rolls? Yes,
I don't know if I have the right answer for that, but if it does get passed, and it will make a big difference for our voter files.
Well, I would think that if it's maintained, they definitely need to identify their citizenship. You know, I have no objection to illegal aliens having a driver's license. That's kind of almost a good idea, but it needs to be clearly citizenship. There should be Mexican if they are from Mexico, and Canadian if they're from Canada, or German if they're from Germany. They're not citizens of the U.S. and they shouldn't be able to vote in U.S. elections. It's absurd to allow non-citizens to vote in U.S. elections.
Okay, Mr. Crouch, this next one would be for you first. How many hours a week do you intend to be in the office working?
Well, as many hours as it takes to make sure that the job is being done for the service of the citizens of Otero County.
I will continue to do what I do now. I'm in the office 40 hours a week. If I have to be there longer, I will. That's what my track record is. I'm a hard worker, and I will continue to do that.
Okay, Ms. Garrett, for you on this one. Can you give us an idea of the other county clerks that you have worked with and how?
You asked, how have I worked with the other county clerks?
Yes. Or what was your association with
Well, through the
them?
state,
Through the state.
I've been a big part of working with the other county clerks. As I said earlier, I'm the vice president of the affiliate. I attend all county clerks affiliates to make sure everything's ran like it should be.
Mr. Crouch, you said you also work with them.
I have a small investment company, and we buy tax lien property in New Mexico. I've worked probably with, I would say, half of the county clerks in the state. We do deed recording, we do research. We use the services of the county clerk.
Okay, that's all the questions we had. So at this time, you guys will have two minutes to do a closing. And Mr. Crouch, you're first.
I bring an old school work ethic to my candidacy. I'm hardworking, I take pride in the work I do, and if I'm elected, I'll do a good job for you. Thank you.
You know, my proven track record, 28 years experience, that talks for itself. I'm hardworking, I will be committed to all of you, and I'll be there for you. And I stand here today proudly to ask you for your vote, your support, and your prayers. And I want to be your next county clerk. Thank you.
No, not in this case.
All right.
Now, you took a short amount of time, so you know.
Well, let me have a couple more.
Okay, yeah.
Longevity in the office may lead to complacency, and it's kind of like the fox watching the hen house. I think we need some outside eyes looking at the county clerk's office to improve service to the citizens from a citizen standpoint, not from a governmental bureaucracy standpoint.
You have one more there. Well, that concludes our county clerks. Again, let's give a big hand for Denise Garrett. Okay, we'll go ahead and bring up our county treasurer candidates, please. Okay, again, we have for County Treasurer, we have Tim McGinn and Kathy Prather. Kind of the same format here. It was brought up before the costs to employ for longer hours. The question is going to be for both of you, obviously. How much will it cost taxpayers to increase those hours?
It will cost the taxpayers nothing additional than the current two classified employees, the chief deputy and the elected official. Issue of scheduling and increasing the hours an hour and a half a day and 3 hours on Saturday is pretty simple. It's not going to cost the taxpayers anymore. The chief deputy and the elected official, even if they're doing it, okay, they can put in more time. And I'll address the question now. Well, I'll address the question when there's more time about how much time it takes to run the office. Thank you.
The cost for changing those hours in the county treasurer will be to you, the taxpayer. The cost will be, will anyone answer the phone when you call? Or how long will you have to wait in line when you go between 8 and 5, expecting that somebody will be able to wait on you, and you've got one or maybe two people there to help you because the third person is at lunch and the other one's going to work next Saturday. We have tried this in the office. It did not work. We did not have enough coverage for the time of the day when people come to the office. Then in the evenings, when the time was that there was a little time left, we didn't have customers. There was also not a time set aside as is required by our auditors to balance those drawers every day. So the cost would be to you, maybe not in money, but you will pay for it in one way or another. And so I'd just like to say that having 21 years of experience, I know this, I'm in a position to know it, and I think you can reap the benefit of that experience.
You have a 30-second for what would you like?
Sure. When I want to do something, I do it and I make it happen. No excuses. You can make an excuse for anything that you don't want to do. That's not the way I operate. Thank you.
Okay, this question will be for you first, Ms. Prather. How many hours a week do you intend to be in the office working?
I've worked full-time all these years, and I intend to continue to work full-time.
I'll give the office as much time as it deserves. If that's 40 hours a week, terrific. If it's more and that's what it takes, then that's what I'll do. As I said, this is about customer service and the taxpayers. This is why I wish to keep the office open an hour and a half longer a day, just like all the other offices in the county, the assessor and the clerk. So, thank you.
Tim, this next question will go to you first. What professional credentials should a treasurer possess?
Well, certainly a treasurer should probably not be a convicted felon. The state guidelines, as a matter of fact, to run for county treasurer are that you be a registered voter and live in that district. Okay? Any of you undoubtedly could have signed up and run for treasurer. However, with me, you get the benefit of the ability to manage people, the ability to manage money, and the ability to run a 4-person office when I've done this with 17 people on my staff and a multi-million-dollar business that I wish to put in the hands of very capable people and continue my service to Otero County. Thank you.
I would say the credentials for running the county treasurer's office include a thorough knowledge of government accounting, a thorough knowledge of the state law, a thorough knowledge of GASB rules that you have to follow, a thorough knowledge of all the constitutional restraints that you may have to follow. There is an immense amount of information you need to be aware of and you need to follow continually. I know that you only have to be a registered voter in our state to be able to file for office, but that does not give you the qualifications to run the office. The qualifications come from a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and a lot of education, all of which I have been able to get over these last 20 years, and I appreciate the fact that you would notice that that involvement in our office has made it what it is today. And I would like for you to remember that when you go to vote.
It's not really a rebuttal, just more information about me. I do have a bachelor's of business from NYSU. I've sat on and been involved in a number of organizations and boards that deal with money and the investment and the safeguarding of money as well. So I bring a lot of broad expertise to this job. I'm always looking for, in life, a challenge.
This is going to be for Tim first. This is a really good question, actually. Exactly what is the county invested in today, and do you think the money is safe?
As I understand it, the county is invested in predominantly local banks, and they're invested in federally backed securities, either treasuries or the certificates of deposit. And absolutely, I think that those are safe.
We do have a large portion of our portfolio in local banks, and it is our priority to invest in local banks because that helps our local economy. That is our first priority always. We always call the local banks and ask them if they would like to receive deposits at the time. And the requirement for them is that they meet the state treasurer's office rate or the T-bill rate that's being offered, so that they actually have to compete at some level for those deposits. And sometimes that's advantageous for them and sometimes it's not. But that is our first priority. After that, any excess funds, we generally invest in bonds, and we are allowed to invest in T-bills. But generally, we do bonds. There's a little bit higher yield on that. We've done callable bonds primarily for the last few years because the shorter bonds give us a little bit of flexibility as far as being able to keep things a little bit shorter. There are some requirements in our investment policy that restrict how far out we can go, and so the kind of bonds we have to buy are always pretty short. And the other part of that question, David, was?
Do you think it's safe?
I absolutely know it's safe. As a matter of fact, we have the banks collateralize our any investments. I know back in Texas in the 70s, they actually lost government money. People had to go and get their money out of, and the state treasurer even had to stand in line and get 50% of what she had invested in the bank, in local banks there. And we have an investment policy that takes care of that eventuality so that your money is safe.
And Ms. Prather, this will be for you first. There's obviously some travel involved in being the treasurer. What type of out-of-state travel does the county treasurer do, which would include lobbying?
Well, I don't know what we'll be called on to do in the next 4 years. You never do know. I know that our current county treasurer has gone to, in this past year, she took 2 trips to my knowledge. She went to Washington, D.C. to lobby for our Pelt money and brought back $2.6 million. There have been other times that county treasurers are required to go out of town for their jobs. That's not very often, and I don't know the emphasis on that, where that's coming from. But I know that there's one national meeting every year. Sometimes the county treasurer goes and sometimes they don't. It kind of depends on what's being offered and what's being addressed. Well, I know that this last year we were trying to address a securities and exchange rule that might come down, and we were actually able to stop them from making a rule that would have actually cost New Mexico counties a lot of money to be able to comply with. And so we went specifically for that reason, and that is why sometimes out-of-state travel is important. My personal philosophy is if it will help our office, we want to do what it will do our job. If it doesn't help our office, there's no reason to go. Out-of-state travel or in-state travel, I have no desire to do that. I don't want to leave my family, and I'm not one of those that takes the family with me. Grace and I have always cut as many corners as we can when we travel. We share a room, we go on the per diem rate, and so that's our policy.
The in-state travel, which wasn't discussed, but in-state travel is very important. Going to educational events with the treasurer's affiliate and continued education. Out-of-state travel, in my opinion, after being county commissioner 8 years, I start to see what the purpose of it was. And in a lot of cases, it looked to me like it was strictly entitlement. Okay? I've been in office, I'm elected, I'm going to Atlanta, Vegas, Portland, DC, whatever. And so, after 3 years of being a county commissioner, I quit going on those trips because it was, frankly, a complete waste of money, I felt. The in-state travel, or the out-of-state travel, it can be expensive. I've seen some of the bills. Unfortunately, the treasurer did spend, I think it's about $2,500 on a trip just to Washington, D.C. for 5 days. And by the way, PILT has been funded since 1976 when it was created. I don't think it's going away, and it hasn't decreased significantly in all that time. So I don't think the treasurer got our PILT money. It's coming. Okay? If she wants to take credit for that, I disagree. Thank you.
You have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Well, I just first want to say that the county treasurer that we have right now is not running for office. And so I don't think it's fair to discuss what her motives were or what she's taking credit for when she's not even here. But what I would say is that when you elect a county treasurer, you're electing somebody that you believe has the integrity and the conscience to do what's best for you. And I think you have to stand by that once you've done that electing. And I think I have seen people abuse travel. I've seen commissioners abuse it. I've seen other elected officials abuse it. I can tell you I will not do that.
Okay, that concludes the questions. You guys will now have 2 minutes to do your closings. And Tim, you're up first.
I've told you what my background is. This is an open seat, and I believe in citizen service, which is bringing my abilities and my reputation and my trust that I received from the voters in the past to this office, to professionally manage this office and make improvements as needed. To do that, to make those improvements, I will lean on my time, my 8 years as county commissioner, and on my business experience. I hope that you'll recognize that that is important, that broad experience outside of just being in office for 21 years. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. And I would appreciate your vote in the upcoming election on June 5th. That's very important. Thank you.
I too would like to ask that you look a little broader than just experience in the office. I actually have 43 years of experience. I have experience in an international corporation. I have experience with a small business my husband and I ran for 8 years. I have experience in working for lawyers. I actually even was a tax collector in Texas during my college years. And I have a lot of experience, and I've worked for 43 years, only 21 of which are relevant to the county treasurer's office in a direct and managerial way. Those are the years of experience that I think most count toward what you need when you're looking for someone to run that treasurer's office. And so I would ask for your vote also. I would ask for your vote and your support and your prayers for us as we both try to come out and let people know who is the best fit for this job. Thank you.
And now go ahead and the county commissioner. Again, just to remind you, Mike Jones was unable to attend due to illness, so again, we hope, we wish the best for him. Okay, you guys remember the format, and the first question will go to you, Ronnie. What do you see as the 3 top priorities for Otero County moving forward?
Elect Ronnie Reardon. The three that I see is we got to keep our continuity, our motion going forward. We've been able to do back when I came to commission in the 90s and got involved in 89 back in those days. I've seen this commission grow and expand and continue to go forward to serve the people. When I was in Washington, D.C. this last time, I was in a room of 80 people. The Secretary of the Forest, Tom Tidwell, was talking, and at the end of his talk, he says, I'll take questions, and everyone puts their name up. He goes, I'm going to take the commissioner from Otero County first. My name wasn't there. It said Otero County. I've never met the man. In the face, he knew who Otero County was on the map because we have been in their face. We have been doing our work, we've done our job. There's 3 things we got to get control of. We got to get control of the government who's trying to destroy this country. That's the federal government. We have to bring it back to the people. Second, we got to maintain our budget, which I think we do an excellent job. I don't think anybody will argue with our budget in Otero County. The last 3 years I've been there, we've carried over $11 million. This year it's $10,800,000, and it'll continue to do good. If the economy doesn't pick up for the next 3 years, we're still safe. And the last thing we need to do is we need to make sure we always serve people who elected us. We can't make you serve us. We have to serve you. And if you'll give me 4 more years, that's what I promise to do.
I have a minute.
I talked about water and the reports out of the Department of, well, actually, they're doing an environmental impact statement on the Colorado River. The Southwest is going to get 20% less water as an average over the next 30 years. It's still about water, water, water. 65% of your water comes out of the forest. We've got to get that mess cleaned up. I will state again that we cannot afford $1 million for 1,000 acres at a 1,000,000-acre forest. We have to get the government to get going on this issue. I do believe that it's a political thing that needs to be pushed. I worry about, again, the cost of the lawsuit because it can break us. When I was asked that question by the county commission the last year I was there, it was water, water, water.
Let me tell you, all I do is Forest Service and be able to, that's my job. I'm working so hard on that Forest Service right now, and Mike, I gotta tell you, you gotta start thinking outside the box. If we keep going the way we got to where we're at today, yes, we couldn't afford $1 million an acre. I was speaking with Rachel Rodriguez. She's the secretary for the Secretary of Corrections today. I'll be meeting with them on Tuesday in Santa Fe. We're going to see about getting some prisoners down here. It's going to make that cost of $1 million really reasonable. So there's ways to do it. You just got to be inventive, and that's what I want to do.
You have 30 more seconds.
Yeah. On that note, right now, with gas the price it is, there is no viable way to even get the good lumber more than about 50 miles. And there is no infrastructure left from the Endangered Species Act being enacted. It took everybody out. We were supposed to have a rally in Cloudcroft with loggers. We don't have loggers anymore. So we need to make the government do their job.
And Mr. Nivison, you'll go first on this question. If the county does take back lands, and we do have an emergency of substantial cost, where will that money come from?
You know, it's awfully hard reinventing the system so that a county that has the budget it does could afford a $15 million fire as they had over in Arizona, much less the overhaul of that fire after it was finished. A lot of comments I've got is between the Forest Service and our local firefighters is that it wouldn't be possible to put out these fires without the help of the federal government. I'm very critical of the federal government. It's way out of line. It's not doing its job. Fix the system. That's what I believe in.
Let me clarify something. No one in Otero County wants to take the land back. We don't have to take it back, it's already ours. Under the Organic Act, the Forest Service has the ability, two things they can do. They can supply timber to the local economy and protect the watershed. They failed to do both of those. We're going to realign them and put them back in that spot. Our job is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people. So we're partnering up with the Forest Service. They still have, by law, an act of Congress, if that fire happens, they have to put it out. It's not something we're wanting to own and take. We don't have to. It doesn't matter who owns the land. But let me show you this. If I take $100,000 of tax dollars and I spend it using it to take out 5,000 acres, and I think that's about what I'm going to use, and I protect one home and one life, what's that 100,000 worth? And Mike's exactly right. The industry is gone. So the county's going to have to step in, get it going, and you can ask Susan and Tommy, every time we talk about it, I say, but when it starts back up, the county gets out of it and let the private industry have it, because we're not designed to be in the business. We're designed to get it going and get it stimulated. We work at a 0% profit. At $1 million an acre, that's a profit. We can do it much, much cheaper and much more strong. I met with the man today, and gonna just thrilled. So you got a tough decision. You know, I said I don't feel like I have opponents. You have to make a decision. Which direction do you want to go? Because you have 3 Republicans running, and I will never bash my Republican friends. Thank you.
You have 30 seconds.
You're not a Republican.
You get a ticket.
I didn't see it.
When I left office, we had an agreement with the regional forester, the state forester, to do 100,000 acres of treatment. And since there's been a lot of animosity and discussions, you know, aren't what they were. Now that was with the regional forester. And I don't know, I have no idea why that went by the wayside. Stop now.
I've been working on my root naked joke, so you get 30 seconds to vote on me.
Let me finish it up for you, Mike. Corbin Newman. Actually, the CFLRP situation with the 100,000 acres is still all going, and we want the Forest Service to absolutely continue what they're doing. We're not trying to stop them. We have no right to stop them. We just want them to come in and manage the lands around the community so that the communities aren't in danger. And we will force them, to do that, because the life, safety, and health of the welfare of the people, it's priceless. Thank you.
And now you guys have 2 minutes to close, and we'll start with you, Ron.
You got a tough job, because, you know, Mike's been a commissioner, I've been a commissioner, and the other guy, I'm not going to speak about that, I don't know anything about him, and I don't intend to, but you have to make a decision. Have you liked the way things are going? Have you felt patriotic? Have you felt like, well, I like what you're doing, I like what I see? Because if you don't, you need to get me out of office, because for the next 4 years, that's what I'm going to do. I believe in open government, I believe in honest government, and if I ever see anything that is not right, I make sure and flush it out, and I try to give everyone a fair shake, as fair as I know how to do it. I was the first one to let some people, like Ms. White, who was here earlier, be on one of our hiring boards to make sure she would come in and watch and make sure the process is done. Those are important things to her, and if she'll come up and show, I want to make sure she gets to do that. No one, in history, no one's ever done that. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I got a lot of smart people around me, and I know how to get things done. So if you would choose to give me 4 more years, I only promised you 4 the first time. I never said I was running 2 terms. I am running 2 terms. If you'll give me that chance, I'll be glad to give you the 4 years. If not, I thank you for the service, and I wish the best to whoever gets elected, because it affects me just like it affects you. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you all that are running for office, and thank you all for coming. And you have the interest to come. You have the interest to ask these questions. Let's talk about passion for public office. The last 4 years that I've been out of office, I've gone to every legislature. I've gone to every significant meeting, because over the last 20 years, I've gone to every class that I could learn about endangered species. I sat on the state team for 4 years on NEPA. I've taken the NEPA class. This is the way you protect yourself. I've been consulting. I get called by legislative council at the state capitol to help them discuss bills and put them together so they fit. I've consulted for several counties. So I have not just been sitting idly aside. And why? It's because the federal government's eating our lunch. It's kind of a dance, because we dance with the military. That's what makes us have an economy and a strong county. I don't think we can afford to alienate the possibility of having some more people come from the base by being antagonistic to the federal government. We can ask for our rights from the federal government, and that is to give us our health, safety, and welfare. There is no reason we should be second to the bottom in education and second to the bottom in poverty, and I will dedicate my passion to that.
We have candidates for county commissioners here. A round of applause again for them.
I'm Representative Yvette Harrell, and I'm just finishing up with the Republican Party of Otero County, because we just held our first forum this evening for the county candidates that will be running for office and be on the ballot on June 5th, which is our primary date. And it was encouraging to see the folks here that came out to support the candidates, but I tell you, I know Alamoorhead and Otero County can do better. It's imperative that we get out, we get our friends and family engaged, we get them involved, we get them registered to vote. This is a critical election year, not only for the local and county offices that are going to be up for re-election, but every single House and Senate seat in the state of New Mexico is up for re-election, as well as everyone knows we have congressional seats open, and we also have a United States President seats open. So we have got to get people out, get engaged. It's too important right now. We have kids and grandkids and services that we need to be thinking of. We've got to put our voices out there The thing about running for office and being elected into office is, especially in all of these candidate positions, they're not self-serving. These candidates and the people that want to serve are there for the community, there for the state, there for the county. We've got to get out, get engaged, ask the tough questions, make sure the elected officials or those that want to run for office are accountable and qualified, and make sure that you are connecting on some level with the people that want to run the county, the city, and the state, and more importantly, the country. So I'm just encouraging everyone, get out again. I'm challenging everybody to get 3 people out to vote and get 5 people registered. That way, if a couple don't show up, we've still done a good job. But we've got to do this as a community. And remember, if you're not registered to vote and you don't vote, it's very difficult for your voice to be heard or for the elected officials to take you very seriously, because we already understand that you may not be as interested in politics or in policy or in this country or this community as you might think. But by registering and voting, you're proving yourself and you're helping everybody in the long run. So get out and vote, and be sure to come out next Thursday night, because we'll have the U.S. Senate race candidates here, Greg Sowards and Heather Wilson, and we hope to have a great crowd at that time as well. So get out to vote, you guys.